Last night I went on the internet and rumours were rife because of a community post on PlayStation España's YouTube channel which talked about a well-known series of games being announced that the Insane Trilogy was going to be one of February's free games available with the PlayStation Plus membership. I really thought, yes, the Insane Trilogy will be with PlayStation Plus. I wonder what that means, does it mean anything? And nope, the trilogy PlayStation España was talking about was the BioShock trilogy, which although is pretty cool, it's not Crash Bandicoot. Just why? Why use this? So out of the disappointment of it not happening, I mean, it just seemed strange, but out of that came two big questions. The first question is something a little bit weird, like, why did I just accept that this was likely? Why did it just make sense to see Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation Plus stuff as a free game for PlayStation players to get? Why did it just make sense to me? And leading on from that, does this relationship between PlayStation and Crash, is there a strong relationship there? Which could mean that something like a new Crash Bandicoot game, which we are all hoping for this year, would release exclusively on PlayStation, or perhaps have exclusive content on PlayStation. So now I've raised those questions, it probably makes sense that I go and answer them. A couple of quick notes before we dive in, just so everything makes that little bit more sense. We're going to be working today on the presumption that a new Crash Bandicoot game will release this year. There are no guarantees, most of us think it will, but there are no guarantees, so if it doesn't happen, please don't come with an angry mob and shout at me. And the second thing is that I'm presuming if the game does come, we're working on the presumption again, that it will be on the current console generation, not the next one, but that thing doesn't matter too much for this video. So why the hell are we even having this conversation on Crash and PlayStation basically in some ways being in bed together, basically in some ways not whatever. Well, basically the first thing is that Crash and PlayStation in many ways go hand in hand. When you think of Crash, there's a pretty good chance you'll think of PlayStation. And they have a special relationship. Now, why is this? Well, basically it all boils down to the fact that Crash used to be a PlayStation mascot. He used to be at the forefront of PlayStation games and the PlayStation console. Pretty much for the first 5 years, maybe even 6 years of the Crash games, including the original trilogy when they came out at the back end of the 90s, and for CTR, and I believe Crash Bash 2, they were all PlayStation exclusive games. They were not on any other platforms. So going back, these two have a very intimate relationship. But Alex, Crash is owned by Activision now, and it's not even a PlayStation exclusive anymore, you bloody idiot. Well, I mean, that's the crazy voice I read abusive comments out in. But yeah, that is pretty much true. But Crash's roots with PlayStation, even to this day, are important. These roots translate into good sales on PlayStation. I mean, the sales on PlayStation are by far the best. Now, there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is that PlayStation has most players on it, really, but there's also other things. I mean, like I said, you associate Crash with PlayStation because of its history with it. And also, if you think about the players who are still playing since back in the 90s, maybe they owned a PlayStation 1 in the late 90s, they're most likely to have kept on with PlayStation. Not too many people I know switch allegiances. So these people that played Crash in the 90s are probably playing it today on their PS4s. Now, it's sort of treated by PlayStation like an exclusive without being one. They have a very close relationship. Recent events too have suggested that this special relationship is continuing. Well, not just continuing, actually thriving. Like, over the last few months, there's been big pushes on the PlayStation side to promote Crash Bandicoot. So we will name a few at this point. So, CTR featured in the PlayStation trailer with that mask that we still don't know anything about. Not that I'm incredibly bothered by that, it does bother me slightly. CTR had a big promotional campaign going with influencers getting gifted Crash Bandicoots for Christmas. Dreams do come true. And my personal favourite, Crash Bandicoot kept appearing on the side of buses in the UK, which would be great if they ever turned up on time. Public transport. So, taking into account recent events and the history between the two, it's not that surprising why I thought that the Insane Trilogy might be a game on PlayStation Plus for February. It would have made a lot of sense. But with all this said, with all this history between them, with all the trailer stuff, with Crash being on buses that never turn up, and also, if you think about it, some of the exclusive content PlayStation got for like CTR, could it be that the next Crash Bandicoot game could be a PlayStation exclusive? Probably not. And nor do I believe it'll release on PlayStation earlier than it'll release on other platforms, most notably Xbox. But that doesn't actually mean that there can't be anything exclusive PlayStation-wise, because I think there's a pretty good chance there will be. So yeah, that was a letdown, wasn't it? But there is obviously some content which could be made exclusively between PlayStation and Crash Bandicoot, and which would honour the history and relationship the pair have. So a few of the ideas I've noted down here, and as we go past the first one, I definitely think we'll see something like these. So a new retro look or soundtrack, maybe. There could be a mode where you could play the whole new game through with a retro look if you're on PlayStation. That sounds like a lot of work, so maybe unlikely. But moving on, these next ones are actually pretty decent bets. So the first thing I've got noted down here is an additional character which you can play the whole game through as. Now, I could just see this working. Maybe if Coco isn't in the game as a standard character you can play as, maybe if you're on PlayStation, you could actually play the whole game through as her, just to add something else. Maybe additional levels, so if you buy the game on PlayStation, you have a few more levels chucked in there. That'd be pretty cool. Or possibly, maybe even additional skins. Now, the skins things is kind of weird because skins are massive in CTR, but they obviously work less effectively in a platformer. But if they were to bring a few across, maybe you could switch your skins up as you play through the game. Maybe some PlayStation exclusive ones would be pretty cool. Now, I think any of them would be possible, and that's probably the most realistic way in which PlayStation gets some more content exclusively. I think PlayStation will get content exclusively. I don't see them pushing Crash so much, sorry, if there wasn't something like this on the cards. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm quite confident. What do you think though? Make sure you go down in the comments and let me know. Also, if you have enjoyed this video today, remember to give it a like, it helps us out so much, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new for new content every single Wednesday. What else are you doing on a Wednesday that's this cool? Probably a lot of things. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon.